Welcome to the deep dive. This is where we take your sources, the stuff you send us, and really pull out the absolute core insights. We want to get you well informed, fast,
Exactly. No wading through pages and pages. We do the digging for you.
and this time we're diving deep, especially for you, the listener, into this really powerful concept. The idea that, well, intense desire isn't just wanting something, it's supposedly the actual starting point for, well, any achievement.
hmm You sent over a chapter that really unpacks this. So our mission today is to explore that, to figure out why this source claims a burning desire is so critical for hitting your goals, especially, getting rich. It's more than just a wish.
Okay, yeah, it starts with a story that really caught my attention. Edwin C. Barnes, right? Arriving in Orange, New Jersey way back when.
Yeah, picture this guy hopping off a freight train. Looks like a tramp, the source says.
But inside his head, totally different story. Says he had kingly thoughts and this keen, pulsating desire. He wanted to be Thomas Edison's business associate.
And it wasn't just a whim, right? It was deep, obsessive almost.
The chapter suggests this desire wasn't brand new either. It might have started as just a wish, you know?
Right, but by the time he actually went to find Edison,
Mhm.
it had hardened. It was a dominating desire, as the phrase used, really intense.
And it wasn't easy for him, was it? He spent, what, 5 years doing pretty menial work?
5 long years. But here's the kicker. The source says, from day one, in his own mind, he already saw himself as Edison's partner.
Wow, with like zero outside proof. No handshake, no promises.
None. Just this unshakable internal belief. It really makes you think about that kind of self-conviction, doesn't it?
Yeah, that self-efficacy idea, believing you can do it no matter what. He picked his goal, that partnership, and just held on to it.
Willing to do whatever it took, even low-level jobs, because he saw it all as like steps on the path.
The chapter even shares his internal thoughts, apparently. He was laser focused on that Edison connection.
Completely, and he'd mentally burned all bridges. No retreat. Failure just wasn't an option in his mind.
It reminds me of that old story, the general who burns his army's ships after landing.
Exactly. The chapter uses that specific analogy. It drives home the point.
Yeah.
Cutting off your escape routes is key to keeping that burning desire to win alive.
Forces total commitment, no backup plan.
Total dedication. Okay, so then the chapter pivots. Another example, Marshall Field.
Ah, right. After the huge Chicago fire, what a scene that must have been.
Total devastation on State Street. Merchants are looking at the rubble, deciding, do we rebuild here or just, cut our losses and leave Chicago?
And most decided to leave, right? Seemed like the easier, maybe safer option.
Understandably so. But Marshall Field, different reaction entirely.
What did he do?
He stood there, pointed to the wreck of his store, and basically declared, we're rebuilding right here, and it's going to be the world's greatest store.
And he actually did it. That's incredible.
The chapter really flags that, this absolute, almost defiant desire. That's what separated Fields from the others who took the path of least resistance.
It's that refusal to be beaten by circumstances.
It really circles back to Barnes, doesn't it?
Yeah.
The source explicitly says the same quality that made Fields stand out is what made Barnes different from all the other young guys working for Edison.
So it's this intense, unwavering desire that seems to be the common thread.
Exactly. Okay, so we've got these powerful stories. Now the chapter gets practical.
Right, the 6 steps for turning that desire for riches into, well, actual money.
Yeah, lays them out like a formula almost. A method to make the intangible tangible. Let's walk through them.
Okay, step 1. Fix the exact amount of money you want. No vagueness like, I want a lot, a specific number.
Definiteness is crucial. The source even mentions a psychological reason for it, says it'll explain later.
Interesting. Okay, step 2.
Determine exactly what you intend to give in return for that money. This is big. The chapter is very clear. No such reality as something for nothing.
So the value exchange. What are you bringing to the table? Makes sense?
You got it. Step 3. Establish a definite date. When do you intend to have this money by?
Adds urgency. Turns it from a wish into a project with a deadline.
Precisely. Creates that target. Then step 4 logically follows. Create a definite plan to get there. And this is keys. Start immediately.
Even if you don't feel totally ready.
Especially then. Whether you are ready or not, it says. Got to overcome that inertia,
Right. Don't wait for perfect conditions. Just start. Okay, step 5.
Write it all down. A clear, concise statement. Amount, deadline, what you'll give in return, and the plan itself.
Putting it in writing forces clarity. Makes it real.
Crystallizes everything.
Yeah.
And then the final step, step 6. This one's pretty interesting.
Where is it?
Read that written statement aloud, twice a day. once just before bed and again right when you wake up.
Okay.
And here's the crucial part. As you read it, you have to see, feel, and believe you already possess the money.
Whoa, that sounds challenging, visualizing something you don't have yet.
The chapter acknowledges that, but it argues that if your desire is truly burning, truly obsessive, it makes it easier to convince yourself it's coming.
So the intensity of the desire helps with the belief part.
Exactly. The goal is to develop money consciousness,
Yeah.
to saturate your mind with the desire so you can vividly picture having it, like you're training your brain.
Training your subconscious, maybe?
That seems to be the implication, aligning your subconscious with your conscious goal. And apparently these steps aren't just theory. They came from Andrew Carnegie.
The steel magnet. Wow.
Yeah, and Thomas Edison himself supposedly endorsed them. Said they were essential not just for money, but for any definite goal.
That's a strong endorsement. And it's not about, like, back-breaking labor necessarily.
No, the chapter stresses it requires imagination. Understanding that wealth doesn't just happen by chance. It starts with the vision, the plan, the belief.
So you need that white heat of desire plus real faith you can get there.
That's the core message. Okay, so moving beyond the steps, the chapter dives into the power of dreams, imagination.
Says every great leader was a dreamer.
Right. Even uses the founder of Christianity as an example. An intense dreamer with a vision.
And it connects it back to wealth. If you can't imagine it first, you won't see it in your bank account.
Makes sense. And then it makes a really bold claim for the time it was written, that now is an unprecedented time for practical dreamers.
Why now?
Because the economic shifts, the Depression-era context actually created new opportunities, leveled the playing field in a way, favors people with new ideas, with purpose, and, again, that burning desire.
So seeing challenges as moments for innovation.
Exactly. This changed world, it says, needs new thinking everywhere. Business, tech, education, arts. It's a call to see disruption as a chance to build something new.
And who leads that? The people who can see potential, right? Those intangible forces.
Yeah, leaders who can tap into unseen opportunities and turn them into real things. Factories, schools, inventions.
The chapter also mentions tolerance and open-mindedness being important for these dreamers.
Crucial. Be open to new ideas. Don't let people shoot down your dreams. Think Columbus, Copernicus people who saw what others couldn't.
And it quotes, "Success requires no apologies. Failure permits no alibis. Taking responsibility."
Absolutely. Act on your beliefs. Put your dreams out there. Don't get derailed by temporary defeat.
Because every failure brings with it the seed of an equivalent success. I like that.
That's a powerful reframe. And then it lists more examples of these practical dreamers.
Who else?
Henry Ford's horseless carriage, despite setbacks. Edison, again, thousands of failed attempts with the light bulb, showing pure persistence.
Right.
Whelan, dreaming up a national chain of cigar stores. Lincoln, dreaming of freedom. The Wright brothers, obviously, pushing for flight.
Marconi, too, with wireless communication.
Yeah, even when people thought he was nuts, apparently got him detained briefly. But the world, thankfully, is becoming more welcoming to new ideas, the source argues.
It quotes, "The greatest achievement was, at first, and for a time, but a dream. And dreams are the seedlings of reality."
Nice. It's a real call to arms for dreamers. Awake, arise, and assert yourself.
And it suggests tough times can actually help dreamers by making people more open.
Yeah, fostering humility, maybe making people more receptive. It keeps hammering home that a burning desire to be and to do is the starting point. Driven by ambition, not laziness.
Mentions a dreamer president harnessing water power, too.
Right, a contemporary example for its time. And it offers comfort about past failures. Says they've actually made you stronger.
Tempered your spiritual metal like forging steel.
Exactly. Those struggles are assets, valuable lessons. Reminds us that huge success often comes after rough starts, big challenges.
Yeah.
Turning points often happen in crisis.
And then, wow, another list of inspiring people who overcame huge obstacles.
Yeah, it's quite a list. John Bunyan writing Pilgrim's Progress in prison.
O. Henry finding his writing talent after trouble. Edison's failures, again. Dickens using tragedy to fuel his writing.
Helen Keller's incredible story. Robert Burns, the poet, inspired by poverty. Booker T. Washington, born into slavery.
Beethoven composing while deaf. Milton writing Paradise Lost while blind.
Just amazing examples of resilience. The message is clear. Don't give up. Rekindle hope, faith, courage, tolerance.
And if you do that and understand these principles, the resources you need will show up.
That's the promise. It quotes Emerson basically saying, what you truly need and seek with the right mindset will eventually find its way to you. like attracting the right friends or insights.
Then it distinguishes between just wishing and being ready to receive.
Big difference. Readiness comes from belief, real belief, and you need an open mind for that belief to take root.
Closed minds can't really believe in new possibilities.
Right, and it ends that section powerfully. Aiming high takes no more effort than accepting misery.
Wow. And that poem about bargaining with life for a penny.
Yeah, illustrating that life often gives you exactly what you demand of it, even if you only ask for something small. Powerful stuff.
Okay. Then the chapter takes a really personal turn. Desire outwits Mother Nature. This is about the author's own son.
Yeah, incredibly moving. His son was born with no visible signs of ears. Doctors predicted lifelong deafness and muteness.
Oh my gosh, that must have been devastating.
Absolutely. But the author describes making an immediate silent decision. A burning desire took hold. His son would hear and speak. He refused to accept the limits.
Just refused the medical verdict, clung to belief.
Exactly. He mentions Emerson again about faith and finding the right word. For him, that word was desire. This intense, unwavering desire for his son's hearing and speech.
Did it make him question his own ideas? Like that one about limitations being self-imposed? This seemed purely physical.
It did. He wrestled with that. How could desire overcome a physical reality like missing ear structures? But he felt this powerful urge to somehow plant his desire into his son's mind.
How did he even do that?
He made a daily pledge to himself, never give up hope, and they noticed the boy did seem to have a tiny bit of hearing.
A little bit. Okay.
Then came a breakthrough with a Victrola, a record player. The boy loved vibrations, would clamp his teeth on the case.
Huh. Weird.
They didn't get it at first, but it was bone conduction. They later found the boy could hear the author clearly if he spoke with his lips touching the bone behind the ear area.
No way. So sound could travel through the bone.
Exactly. That became the channel, the way to communicate, to start implanting that desire. Speech came slowly, but the author kept the faith.
Started telling him bedtime stories.
Yeah, specifically designed stories to build self-reliance, imagination, and crucially, that desire to hear and be normal.
And one story even framed his lack of ears as an asset. How?
The author admits he had no idea how it could be an asset then. It defied logic, but desire and faith pushed him.
And the son trusted his father completely.
Immensely. So the author sold him the idea you'll get special attention from teachers, you can make more money selling papers because people will notice you. Things like that.
Wow. And did his hearing actually improve?
Slowly, yes.
All right.
Amazingly. And the boy wasn't self-conscious about it at all.
Then he started selling newspapers at 7.
Yep. Totally on his own initiative.
Right.
Made a profit. His mom cried. His dad laughed with pride. Different reactions, you know.
Shows that mindset difference again. The kid was resourceful.
Totally. The chapter uses this to say handicaps can become stepping stones if you don't accept them as barriers.
He went to regular school, not a school for the deaf.
Right. Parents were determined he'd live a normal life. An early hearing aid didn't work, which was discouraging.
Oh, no.
But then a turning point. Last week of college, he tries a new hearing aid, reluctantly.
Yeah.
It worked perfectly. Suddenly, his lifelong desire for normal hearing, it became real.
Just like that, after all those years.
Instantly. The chapter calls it a changed world. He could hear clearly, talk on the phone properly, understand lectures. Everything opened up.
Unbelievable. What did the author attribute that to?
Their refusal to accept nature's error, their persistent desire paving the way somehow for the technology to catch up or for him to receive it.
But the story continues, right?
Oh, yeah. He writes this passionate letter to the hearing aid company. They're so moved they invite him to New York.
Okay.
While touring the factory, boom, inspiration strikes. A hunch? He realizes he can help millions of deafened people by sharing his story.
His own experience becomes his mission.
Exactly. That becomes his new burning desire, to serve the hard of hearing. His handicap starts turning into his greatest asset.
How so?
He studies their marketing, makes a 2-year plan, gets hired immediately. He goes on to bring hope and help to so many people.
So the thing that seemed like a limitation became his unique strength.
Precisely. The author even saw his son's company teaching deaf mutes to hear and speak, using the same principles he'd used instinctively years before.
It comes full circle.
Completely. And remember the doctors. A specialist later examined x-rays, saw no ear canals, and said, theoretically, the son shouldn't be able to hear at all.
Yet he could.
The author believes planting that desire somehow prompted nature itself to find a way to bridge the silence. His conclusion, nothing is impossible to the person who backs desire with enduring faith.
Wow, that's quite a story. Desire literally changing reality.
That's the claim. The desire manifested. His limitation became his path to service and success. Even those white lies about advantages came true. Belief plus desire made it real.
So if nature bends to desire, can mere people stop it?
That's the rhetorical question posed. It suggests the mind's power to achieve desire is immense, almost imponderable.
Then there are a couple more quick examples.
Yeah, just briefly. Madame Schumann-Heink, the opera singer.
Yeah.
Director told her she'd never make it because of her looks, told her to buy a sewing machine.
Harsh.
But her desire to sing was immense. She became a huge star. The director just didn't get the power of that obsessive drive.
And the other one, about surgery.
A business associate needing a risky operation. Doctors had little hope. But just before he whispered he refused to die.
And he survived.
Against the odds. The doctor specifically said it was the patient's intense desire to live that pulled him through.
Reinforces the theme powerfully. Desire's influence is huge.
Exactly. So, wrapping up, the author restates his core belief. Desire backed by faith is transformative. It lifts people, saves lives, fuels comebacks, gave his son a normal life.
All those examples prove the point.
And he directly addresses people facing tough times, economic hardship, reminds them. All achievement starts with an intense, burning desire for something specific.
And that nature itself somehow empowers strong desire through mental chemistry.
Yeah, that's the final thought. That strong desire has this inherent force that doesn't recognize impossibility or failure.
Okay. So bringing this deep dive home for everyone listening, we've really dug into this idea of a burning desire's power. We saw it in Barnes chasing Edison.
Marshall Field rebuilding Chicago.
And most profoundly in the author's own story with his son overcoming deafness. Incredible.
And we laid out those 6 practical steps for transmuting desire into tangible results, specifically wealth in that case.
But the principle goes way beyond money, doesn't it? Health, career, overcoming huge obstacles.
Absolutely. The consistent message is a strong, clear desire fueled by unwavering faith and persistence is the bedrock, the absolute starting point for anything significant.
So this deep dive, tailored for you, aimed to give you a solid grasp of this concept from the source material. And as we finish, here's something to chew on.
What are your deepest, most burning desires? Really think about it.
And then consider, how could you cultivate that same intensity we talked about? How could you apply these principles? Maybe ask yourself, how could you in your own life metaphorically burn your own ships and fully commit to what you truly want to achieve?